All right. Here's the concept here. Barry and Philip and I, we said, what can we do to give some people some tips? How do you become a hero at NAA? You heard me say that we try to slant things. We try to give away. We try to push towards somebody that's trying to help the organization. How many times have y'all heard Alex Abuyuan is flying in to help somebody else? Alex Abuyuan's following us around. And it's funny because once he started doing that, we didn't have to try to find ways to help him out. All of a sudden, people started talking about him. You hear when he starts getting up on stage, his organization goes crazy because he's a server. And what an organization or what a program to be in where you can actually do good things and then it comes back to you immediately like it has Alex Abuyuan. But I'm so fired up to bring you on stage, Mr. Alex Abuyuan!
I like that Heisman Trophy. That's wild. Look at that hippie up there. Wow. You know, I feel uncomfortable with the word hero because, you know, we really saw a true hero this afternoon. Cleve McCleary. You know, and also the heroes that serve their country. That's a little bit about my story, but I want anyone who serve their country in the armed forces to please stand up. And let's recognize them. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Let's hear it. Folks, those are the heroes right there. I mean, sometimes when I think of hero, I think about a Middle Eastern taco that you put cucumber sauce on. And, but anyway, hang out a little while and that'll get you. First of all, I really want to acknowledge my wife. My wife, Jenny, she let me build this business. She never put any restrictions on me. All she ever did was she looked at some of the investments I made in leads and she just raised her eyebrows a little bit. But she kept the books. But she's been behind me 100% every single step of the way, dear. And, you know, I love you so much, and thank you for having my 5 kids, and thank you for just being the mother to my kids and being my wife, because you know that bonus check, that $48,000 is yours, and I'll keep the change after that. But she deserves it. That's right. Give her a hand. Okay, now, come on. She's going to be expecting some diamond rings and earrings, and yeah, she deserves it. She deserves it. All right, I also want to thank Barry, Andy, and Philip for this awesome business. Never in my wildest dreams would I ever have dreamed selling insurance that I'd get this bonus check that was just freaking outrageous. Now, frickin' was not one of the words that Carl Reinbender used, so I think it's okay, right? You're the man. Anyway, thanks for Barry, Andy, Philip. This is just an awesome business. For those of you just checking this out, you know, the money's real. You know, it's funny when I try to recruit agents, and they just kind of, you know, I just like, hey, it is what it is, you know. I mean, I don't really try to recruit anybody. I just tell them about the deal, I really don't even tell them how much I make. Because I think it's kind of, you know, it kind of sounds a little cheesy, you know, like, you know, I'm one of those MLM guys, I make all this money. You know, I really try to appeal for what they want. And that's how I got in this business. I got in this business for what I needed and wanted. And you'll hear a little bit about, you know, just in a few minutes here, what this business means to me. So you know a little bit about my background. I'm first generation Filipino American. And I say that proudly because my father earned his citizenship in this country. He joined the U.S. Navy. That's right, man. That's right, man. I'm proud. I am proud to be his son because he joined the United States Navy in the Philippines. He was not even a citizen of this country, and he joined the U.S. Navy. Why? Because he knew America was a place of opportunity. It was the only way that he can get himself out of the poverty and hopelessness of the Philippines. So he joined the United States Navy, and he served his country. He served 2 years in Vietnam as a Navy Seabee. And he came back. He was one of the lucky ones. He came back alive. And I'm so proud of him. And when I saw him on the day right before he retired, he was sworn in to become a citizen of his country in his Navy uniform. And as a little kid, watching him getting sworn in, that was one of the proudest days of my life. And as I go back and think about how important that was to me and how much he earned his citizenship. You know, how many of us take this country for granted? We are just born into it, and it's kind of an easy thing, you know. And then when I saw that, when I saw him with that kind of, I don't know, guts, man, to serve his country and to earn his citizenship, that just made me appreciate this country. So like my father before me, I served my country, the United States of America, as an Air Force officer. I went to the Air Force Academy. My dad would rather I went to the Naval Academy, but they wanted me to actually have an education, so I chose the Air Force Academy. I've got some friends who are Navy grads, and they could appreciate that. We actually are accredited school. Anyway, I love the Air Force Academy. Probably one of the most significant things that impacted my life at the Air Force Academy was going through the POW training. And it was a simulated experience, but when you got like this linebacker that played for the Air Force football team, speaking with a Russian accent in fatigues, and he takes you by the collar and starts beating you on the wall, and now there's a safe way to do it. They teach them a safe way to beat cadets up in POW training. They were just beating us senseless. We didn't have a chance to eat. They sleep deprived and everything. And I remember coming out of there thinking, I'm not going to quit. A bunch of cadets quit, man. They quit. They weren't tough enough. It messed with their minds. Even though it was a simulation, man, they put us in little boxes, and, you know, it's nothing like the real thing, I know. But they mess with your head so much, and the proudest moment was being repatriated. And when I saw the American flag go up over the POW camp because we'd been repatriated, I knew, man, that I loved this country, and there was nothing that was going to stop me from being proud of this awesome land that we live in. I don't know what that flag means to you. Where is it? But man, every time I see the colors being marched in, I stand at attention. I stand proud of the country that we live in because it's such a great land of opportunity. And I hope you can really appreciate the power of that. But I had to move on. I love the service, and I served my country in the Air Force as an Air Force officer. But I felt like there's something I needed, something more. There was just something more that I needed to accomplish. So I got to the Air Force, and I got what? A job, right? I got a job, man. I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was where I was going to find my path, you know, my path to success. And one of the most interesting things about that is someone told me while I was in the job thing, while I was kind of suffering, you know, as a job slave, they said, Alex, if you want to know where you're going to be 10 years from now, look at people that have been there 10 years longer than you, right? And man, that kind of echoed in my brain, you know, because when I looked at people who were in the job thing 10 years longer than me, they had terrible families. They had terrible family relationships. Guys were on their second, third marriages. You know, the father hardly knew his kids. They always missed all their games. You know, it's like, man, this ain't for me. This is not the life for me and my family. I started into another job. I tried to find that other thing. And I became an executive recruiter. I was making about $120,000 a year. Life was good, but you know what? It's funny how in the job world they teach you job mentality, which is charge up your cards up to your income, right? And we were broke. I'm telling you, we were broke. I was working 60 hours a week, making 120 grand a year. And you know how we paid bills? I mean, we were so broke. You know how we paid bills? What we would do is we would put all the bills in a hat, right? We'd put the bills in a cap, and then we'd get our checkbook, and then we'd pull one bill at a time and just write the bill. One bill until we ran out of money, right? And so the other bills that we had in the hat, we'd take the bills and we'd go over to the garbage can and throw them away, okay? Well, naturally, the next month, bills come back in. And so, after about 3 months of doing this, we started getting phone calls, right? And we get phone calls from the, bill collector saying, hey, where's my money? And I just got so sick of it one time, I said, the next time you call, your bill's not even going to go in the hat. Well, that was a temporary solution, right? But I tell you what, the one thing that happened to me that was the day before my first child was born, Zoe. She's about 10 years old. This is about 10 years ago. The day before we were going to induce her, my boss calls me in his office. And it's 5 days before Christmas, and it was a month after we retired Ginny from work so she could be full-time at home. And so my boss calls me into his office, and I thought he was going to say, hey, man, take Christmas vacation off, spend time with your wife and newborn child, and have the best time, just take your time coming back. Well, he calls me into his office, and he says, Alex, we just lost a defense contract from the government, and you're one of the higher paid dudes here. Dudes is my terminology. He said, you're one of the higher paid laborers, slaves here, is what he really meant. And he said, we won't need your services anymore. You're laid off. I looked at him and I just could not believe. And what was I going to tell my wife? What was I going to tell my wife? That we didn't have a job. And I vowed right there that I would never, ever, ever be subject to another man telling me how much money I could make, how much time I could spend with my family, what kind of home I could live in. It was a significant emotional impact for me. Of course, I didn't tell Ginny that I was laid off. I said, hey, honey, they're going to give me a lot of time off. There's this family leave act, and we're still getting, they're still going to pay us and stuff, because I got a little severance from that. So she never knew I was laid off. I got a job. She was wondering why I was home so much. But I got a job 2 months later, and then I informed her that I was moving to another company. But I was trying to find a way. And I was on my knees praying to God, give me an opportunity, give me some way to get out of this slavery. And so I got a call from a man I really respect in business named Art Leeser, and he called me into this room, and he started showing me this business. I said, man, will this thing work? And he said, yeah, I think you can make money. And I said, is it legal? And he goes, does it matter? And so I said, well, no, it doesn't matter to me, but anyway. So I got in a car with some people to go down to Raleigh, North Carolina to see Barry, Andy, and Philip. The three wise men, we call them, And they proceeded to teach us the Hudgens system and teach us how to do this thing. And I brought some people with me, Noel Leventovich, Patrick Honners. We drove all night. My two largest organizations, right, they came with me from the beginning. And we started building this thing. We started making it happen. After I did it part-time, we'd get the leads in, and I would look at those leads and like, man, that was money to me, because it was my only hope. It It was my only way out. And when we got those leads, I would give it to Patrick, I'd give it to Noel, and I would just serve it to them. Here are the leads. Because we respected those so much. It was money. It was my way out of my job. And after the first week, I never saw anyone run an appointment. I just read the script. And you know what? The first time I read the script, it worked. I couldn't believe it. I don't know about you, but I just read it. And you know, I read it so bad, I said, hello, my name is hello, my name is Alex. I am with the more, and by the time it was just so stupid, I said, excuse me, in the middle of my script, I said, excuse me, let me get to the end of my script, okay, then we can talk. So I'd finish the script, I'd book the appointment, and I'd close the deal. And we closed 3-4 deals a week. All my guys were just, and gals, Noel, closing. And after 2 months of doing this thing, part-time, I had cash flowed what I was making as an executive recruiter full-time. And I was like, man, no one told me it was going to be this good. And so I saw my chance to be free. And I took it, man. After 2 months, I went to Gina. I said, honey, I think it's time to come home. And she said, honey, no, it's not. So she gave me 1 more month to make sure. And at the end of March 2000, I declared my independence from the job slavery world. And it was awesome, man. I needed to be free because I needed to be with my family. But you know, once you're free, guess what? Now the responsibility's up to me to make money for my family. And I listened to Barry, Andy, and Philip, but then there was times I didn't listen to them, and I became an agency manager, and we kind of fell on hard times because I was stupid. I mean, I admit to it, man, I was stupid. That's why I could teach the 18-player steps, because I could teach it from a reverse example of how I didn't do those 8 things. And that was one thing that I tell you that really works on your head. I don't know if you guys out there ever experienced that, where some of the negative things that you can run into in this business can really, and I really I thought, man, I am not going to let my stupidity be the reason why I get out of the business. I said, man, I'm going to buck up. I'm going to do this thing so that it's my reason to become financially free. So I started to listen to Barry, Andy, and Philip, and I started to work. And I started to get bigger commission checks, and I started getting out of my situation. And it was just a little tweak in my brain, man. A little tweak in my brain. And I was praying. I was praying hard. I said, Lord, man, I know I can do this thing. Give me the strength. Give me the faith. And he gave me the faith. And I kept doing this thing. And the hardest thing that I had to hear on my way to try to do this was my daughter Zoe. My daughter Zoe asking me, Daddy, can we go to Disney World? I said, honey, we will. We'll get a chance to do that. But we can't do it right now because Daddy's got a lot more people to help. He's got to help some more people so we can go to Disney World sometime. But just hang in there, sweetie. Just hang in there. There's some hard times that you'll get in this business. You're going to have agents come to you begging for something, some kind of help. They're asking for, really what they're asking for is some kind of belief in them. Patrick Connors almost quit twice. He came to me and said, man, I don't know if I can make it, because he was duplicating my stupidity, right? But we made it through together. Mike Leventovich, I remember, man, before he got free from his job, sitting down with Mike, and we were trying to negotiate a stupid pay raise because he was doing all this sales and all this stuff for this company and trying to figure out how to get this pay raise from a stupid boss. And I tell you what, man, after you start building this business, you start seeing success, you start doing some things, and you start affecting other agents' lives. The proudest day, one of the proudest days, was seeing Patrick Connors move out of his 1,200 square foot condominium with 5 kids into a 5,000 square foot executive home. Mike and Noah Leventovich moving into the $650,000 home, their first home, right? They had rented the whole time. And man, when you can affect other people that way, it was tremendous. But sometimes in this business, when you see some of those fruits, sometimes your head gets messed up and you kind of take your eye off the ball and you get a little complacent. You get a little frustrated. You get a little frustrated at agents. And that's what happened to me, man, in 2004. I got frustrated. I got frustrated at agents. They weren't doing what I wanted them to do. And no matter how hard I wanted them to do it, they still didn't do it. And so I took a little mental hiatus, man. And I got comfortable. About $250,000 a year. I got comfortable. And you might think, wow, that's not a bad income level to get comfortable at. But you know, one thing about when you stagnate, I believe that you can only move forward in your life and get better, or you are regressing and going backwards. And I found that, man, I was suffering from stinking thinking, and I had to look at the man in the mirror and wonder, why was I so frustrated? And I realized, man, it's because of me. It wasn't because of the agent, it's because of me. I took a real hard gut check, and I did it like Philip Hudgens said, check up from the neck up. And I realized, you know what my problem was? My problem was I didn't have a dream. I didn't have a vision. To move off of where I was, to move on. And something significant happened to me. I got a chance for the first time, age 44, to go to the Philippines, the heritage, the country from where my heritage was. And I got a chance to experience firsthand poverty. Poverty, just the most despicable poverty that you've ever seen in your life. And going out there, the thing that probably affected me the most was seeing these street kids. See, in the Philippines, these families are so poor, they can't even support their kids. So what they do, in this particular hometown that my mom's from, they would take the ferry boat and bring their kids over, and then they'd say, okay, we're here, we're going to go find some food. So they'd let the kids sleep right at the town hall area, and they'd get on the ferry boat and leave. They would leave their children there, thinking that the city would take care of them. And I don't know about you, but you know, children do not understand death. They don't know what death is about. The thing to them that's like death is being totally abandoned by their world, which is their parents, people they love. And I just cried all the way back from the Philippines. And I said, man, I just found my vision. I'm going to build an orphanage out there. Because these kids need something, man. So my business grew because my vision grew. My vision grew. See, God didn't say man without Rolex shall perish, right? He didn't say man without Mercedes shall perish. He didn't say he said man without vision. And it's not a material vision, at least for me. It's a vision to help the lives of these children and to help them have a stable environment they can learn and grow and maybe be something in this world when they didn't have hope before. And that's where I saw that I had an opportunity to impact lives. So I started building my business. I started to build it with reckless abandon. I started listening to Barry, Andy, and Philip. And I started growing. In 2005, last year, let me get my numbers right. In 2002, my business did $309,000. In 2003, it went to $1.5 million. In 2004, it was $3.2 million, and that was where I got complacent. And then when I finally got my vision back, 2005, we ended up at $9.4 million. And this year, our projections on just average growth rate will be $18 million. And here's the fruits of this business, gang. My wife, I don't know if you have 5 kids, but raising 5 kids, you are so tired. I see it in her eyes every day, just that weariness. Well, you know what I decided to do earlier this year? I got this nice bonus check, and she loves U2, the band U2. And I thought, you know what? They're doing their Vertigo tour. The tour's been sold out forever, right? Been sold out forever. And I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy her tickets to that tour. So I went to StubHub.com, and there's the best seats were like, I think $1,200 a piece. I said, I'm going to buy her this U2 concert. So we went to Pittsburgh. I bought the tickets to the Pittsburgh concert, and I was so excited. I couldn't wait to give it to her. And when I revealed to her that I was taking her to U2, of course I didn't tell her how much I paid. I gave the tickets to her, and I could not believe the look in her eyes. And I don't know if you guys ever have seen your wife so happy where she looks like a 12-year-old little girl after Christmas. Now, I saw her happy during our wedding day. But I never saw the eyes, the happiness of a little girl in her. This is the first time. And man, we had the best time. She was so excited the whole time. You know, it's like you ever have tell your kids you're going to a surprise, and it's like 4 weeks before the surprise, and they're just bugging you every day. Jenny was like that. She was making all these plans, and she was just so excited. And we drove out to Pittsburgh, and she was just, my gosh, man, just the happiness in her eyes. And it just so totally changed. And you know what? I got so drugged up on that I said, man, when's the next U2 concert? And I bought her another concert. And we're thinking about going to Honolulu for their last concert. It's another $3,000 to do that. Anyway, the other thing the other fruit is our kids want to go to Disney World. Zoe, just in my mind, she wanted to go to Disney World. And so what I did this year was I said, hey, man, when we got back from Bermuda, I said, the travel agent that booked the Bermuda flight, I said, hey, man, give me the most expensive Disney vacation package you have. You ever have credit card vacations? Those aren't quite as fun. But you get a big bonus check, and man, plop down cash for that, man. And guess what? We're going in November for Thanksgiving. And I cannot wait to see the look in Zoe's eyes when I show her those tickets to Disney World, man. Do you have vision for your kids that you can do something like that for them? Because all the time when you were broke, you could not give them what you want to give them. But now you have this opportunity to give my little daughter who asked me, Daddy, can we go to Disney World? Well, you know what, sweetie? I'm taking you to Disney World, man, and I can't wait to tell her. And that, my friends, is why this business is worth it. Let me close with this. In the book, 7 Habits to Highly Successful People, in the 2nd chapter, they say, how do you want to be remembered when you pass away? Right? Well, you know what? Why do I have to wait to be remembered that way when I die? And I wanted to move it up. So my daughter's 10, and I wanted to find out how would my daughter talk about me before she walked down the aisle of her wedding. Because to me, my oldest daughter, when I saw her born, I just had all these hopes and dreams. So I wrote a letter as if she wrote it to me, because this is the man I want to be, that I aspire to be. The man that Barry, Andy, and Philip are, the men that they are, I want to be like this guy in this letter. And I aspire to be this, and I read this letter. So I'm going to read it to you. Dearest Dad, well, it's finally here, the day that you give me away in marriage. I wanted you to read this before we walk down the aisle together, because I could never tell you this in person without crying and ruining my makeup. And you know how much you paid for that makeup artist to do my face. I want you to know how much I love you. Not only because you're my dad, but for the person I have become. You showed me how much you loved me through your example and the role model you became for me. Because you made sacrifices before I was even born to bring mom home from work, to be with me full time, I learned that I am important to you and I am a priority in your life. Because you were free to go to all my basketball games, tennis matches, piano recitals, when my friends' dads were too busy at work to attend, I felt confident that no matter how well I performed, you would always be there screaming for me and supporting me. And I'll always treasure that ice cream cone that we had after the games to tell me how great I was. Because of your strength and faith in God and His Son Jesus, and how you live the gospel every day, I learned that I am also a child of God, made in His own image, and that I have value because of it. Value enough for Jesus to give His life for me. Because I saw you give yourself away to others, driving miles for people, some of whom never really appreciated all you did for them, I learned that there is value in others who deserve the same opportunity I had in having full-time parents. I also learned that when you serve God's people unselfishly, you are not only blessed here on earth, but you also store your treasures in heaven. Because I saw you tithe and offer the first fruits of your labor, I learned that my source is always God, not a job or even this business, and that by giving away more, you receive more in abundance. You taught me that you can't outgive God. Because you gave me a godfather and godmother and Uncle Roger and Aunt Maureen, strong in their faith and unswerving in their convictions, I learned to always seek the truth through the Holy Spirit's guidance, because knowing the truth will set me free. Because I saw you say I'm sorry to people with big egos who were in the wrong, I learned humility of spirit and the ability to forgive 70 times, 7 times. Because I only heard encouraging and uplifting positive words come out of your mouth, I learned how powerful the spoken word is and how to be a blessing to everyone I meet. Because of the way you love Mom by your words and your actions, and the way you treated me as a lady, worthy of the highest respect, I learned to respect myself and expect that from every gentleman I have met. Because you taught me that a man should have vision, honor, integrity, character, and faith in God through Jesus, not by words, but by actions. Today I will marry the man of my dreams because he's just like you. Remember, you will always be my daddy, and I'll always be your little girl. I love you, Daddy Zoe. Well, that's it, folks. I appreciate this opportunity. And you know what? Thank you. Let me give you a definition of hell. The definition of hell is the person you are meeting the person you could have become. The definition of heaven is being what God wanted you to be, accomplishing the mission and vision He gave to you, and hearing Him say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." I give glory to Jesus Christ, my Savior.
Awesome.